everyone. Welcome back to Wanderful Webinars. Today we have a two-parter. So this will be an interview between Susie and a dear friend of hers who is also a recent safari attendee, Sue. Sue is going to talk about her experience on the safari, the kind of animals she saw, and talk about how much going to Tanzania touched her heart to the point that she's now planning a trip back to do volunteer work and give back to this wonderful country that has given so much to her. Part two will come out later this month and will feature Sue talking one-on-one with one of our team members to ask some more detailed questions of the stuff you really want to know. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this candid conversation between Susie and Sue, and then make sure you come back later in the month for part two.
Hey everybody, it's Susie with Wanderful Tanzania, and I'm joined today by Sue. She is one of my most recent safari guests. She joined me for a safari, and I just wanted to interview her because she's getting ready to do something really exciting, and that is to go back to Tanzania to do some volunteer work. And I just kind of wanted to explore with her, like, what the safari meant to her, what caused her to fall in love with whatever it was, to take her back and just let her tell her story in her own words. First of all, Sue, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me and for spending your Sunday afternoon. And I just wanted to let everybody know that I've known Sue for quite a number of years, but I'm not sure why she agreed to join me on safari. So I thought I would start there and say, what made the decision to come on one of the safaris with us?
Well, we've been hearing about Susie's safaris, and Susie's a dear friend of my wife, Lauren. And so, we really wanted to do the safari, but the timing over the last few years wasn't real great. And so we were finally able to do it. We both love travel, and I really love the outdoors and nature, and have always wanted to go to Africa. And so this was just the perfect opportunity, partly because I trust Susie with my life. And it was really uncomfortable going to a place that the media kind of makes sound like it's not very safe. Right. And so, people were like, why are you going to Africa? Isn't it unsafe? And we were like, well, we're going with Susie, so everything's going to be good. And that's how it turned out. I mean, it turned out to be safe. Everybody took care of us so well. Tanzania is such a friendly country, and the people are so wonderful. And we never felt like we were in danger in any way. Yeah. So it was, the right decision, and it really met all our hopes and dreams for sure.
I appreciate you saying that, because I can remember after my very first safari back in 2018, I had that same thing. I had all this trepidation. Yeah. I could never have picked it like a place to go on my own or whatever, but friends invited me and I leaned in, and it changed my life, and so I just love that you shared that background. I think so many people, kind of have that hesitation, and you can join a safari company and they'll just send you on safari, and we will too. Wanderful Tanzania is happy to create a private safari and send people, with their own groups. But one of the things I think does differentiate us is the fact that we have something called Safari with Susie, and it's a safari that I personally lead from beginning to end. I hold people's hand through all of the lead in, and then I'm even there on the safari with them. And I do think that creates some peace of mind for people that are maybe a little bit on the fence. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, and with my friends, I would say, even if Susie isn't on safari with you on the ground, the team you have on the ground will totally take care of you the entire time you're there. So, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable if Susie wasn't there. And I definitely would reinforce that with my friends that are interested in going.
Perfect. Yeah, that's also a good add there, because I do know that the team that I've got there is perfectly capable of handling every detail.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that one of the things I liked about traveling with you, Sue, was you're almost like the model client or the model guest, because I believe so much in intentional travel, right? Of taking the time to learn a little bit about a place before you visit it, so that it just takes on a different meaning. You can understand maybe some of its perspective, its history, its cultures and traditions. And you were instrumental in helping me bring the rest of the group up to speed, because you would even send different articles, and you found like that great National Geographic magazine with like the full-blown Tanzania section in it about the Great Migration and so forth. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. I want people to know that they should be traveling with a sense of purpose and a sense of intention to leave a small US footprint when they leave, and to try and leave with the people more than they take away. And I think you did a great job of that. And I think that that's what's leading to your return. But let's get some of these kinds of questions out of the way. Like, so once you made the decision to travel to Africa, what was the one thing like you wanted to make sure you saw, like you were really on the lookout for, fill in the blank kind of a thing?
Well, for me, it was the observation of the animals over a long period of time of 20 or 30 minutes. So being able to see elephants at a watering hole and just sit there and watch them play and throw mud on each other and watch the baby fall down and try to get back up again, and and be kind of dorky, and watch the other elephants help it because it needed a little help, those types of experiences. So all of the animals I wanted to see, but really having the time on the ground to get to experience their social structure and just learn more about the animals. Same thing with the lions, being able to watch them for 20 or 30 minutes, and they would change positions, they would wander around, the cubs would come up and nuzzle the mamas. It was amazing having those, long-term, 15, 20-minute 30-minute experiences with being able to see the animals, for a while, and just kind of figure out a little bit more about how they live and what they're like. I think those were, that's what I wanted, and I definitely got it.
I do love that answer, because I think, I live 20 minutes from the San Diego Wild Animal Park, or whatever it's called now, Safari Park, and I can go there anytime and see a rhino or a pride of lions or whatever. But to see animals in captivity, you don't really, even if you stand there for 20 minutes, you're not going to really get a sense for the social structure, like the baboon social structure or the elephant social structure, lion social structure is something to behold. And I think many safari companies will also have their guides like on a strict time limit. You're going to be on something for 15 minutes and then you move on. And we just don't do that. We just let things unfold at the pace that the clients want to see it. And so that you can see like a mama, teaching her babies to hunt over a 3-day period. Like we will show up for that kind of stuff. So I really didn't expect that answer, but I really am really pleased to get that. So thank you. One of the things I observed about you was your love of watching the birds, like birding. Is this something that you had before you got to Africa, or is it something you picked up?
Oh yeah, I've always been an avid birder. I always have the binoculars with us when we're in the camper van, and always looking for places to stop along the way to go birding if there are places. So it was really phenomenal to be able to see all the different kinds of beautiful, colorful, strange, fantastic looking birds. Our birds are very beautiful here in the United States, but there's some really amazing and large birds in Africa. And it was so amazing to see, like the secretary bird was an amazing bird. Yeah. And the Kenyan, I forget the name of it. One of the Kenyan birds that was tall with the gray feathers in the front was really, really beautiful. And just being able to watch them again, walk around. We saw one with a snake in its mouth, but it had to move out of the way. So it was running around with a snake.
The Cory bustard.
Oh yeah. The Cory bustard. Yeah. That was so beautiful.
Yeah. Is that the Kenyan bird you're talking about? So
no, that was the one we saw in Ngorongoro crater, and they were kind of crane, Kenyan crane.
I don't know. There's
Not
a
quite sure.
African crown crane with the gray chest.
Yeah, African crown crane. That's it.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. And
Yeah. Oh,
usually
that's my favorite.
I see
Yeah.
them
I couldn't
several
remember.
places on a regular safari, but on this one, we only saw them in the crater. So that was a good
Yeah.
call. Yeah, they're gorgeous with their little crown up on top.
Oh, and so many different color shadings and markings here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the different birds and the coloration, really nature in general, like nature never gets it wrong. It won't put two colors together that clash, but it'll put colors together that we would never put colors together, you know, like it
Right.
would match. But it always looks so beautiful. And like the lilac breasted roller has, I don't know, 12 different colors on it, but it's just spectacular. Like things I would never put together. If I was painting a bird, like I would never put fuchsia with teal and, you know, and orange running through it or whatever. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and you were fortunate enough, I think, you know, I'll toot our horn for a second, but I think you were fortunate enough to be in Felix's truck quite a few days. And
yes, I was.
He's our ornithologist,
amazing.
our amazing bird expert. And
he is.
I always laugh at how, like, I just think he's almost like a robot. You know, he could be driving the truck, navigating the potholes, watching for a lion, and a bird will fly by, you know, 200 yards to the left. And you'll just say, well, what's that? And he'll go, with one quick glance, he can tell you what it is and all about it. You know, it's like, wow, I can't even like get to the grocery store that easily. So
yeah.
At any rate, so I know that coming off the back end of the safari, you started, even while we were on safari, you started talking about falling in love with the people of Tanzania, and the Toga women were the one painting the faces.
Yeah, they painted our faces.
Yeah, and then their chief was the old man. He's like 95 years old now, and he was inside of one of the buildings, and he let everybody go in and see, you know, a slice of their life, and it could not be more different if you tried from what we're used to in the Western world. And yet the same core values that tie all of humanity together are so apparent. You know, like their interaction with their children, and, you know, the need for sustenance and shelter, but the love and the smiles, that's just transcend everything. Like they speak the same thing in every culture around the world. You know, you give somebody a smile and break the ice, and the hugs leaving that place, like
the hugs
half an hour to leave because of all the hugging it out, you know?
Yeah. The hugs were like these true love enveloping hugs. You really felt that from them. You were just, it's almost like they, you know, they gave you their love to you, and you wanted to give your love to them. And oh, that was so phenomenal. And meeting that little girl, and they handed out some of our tour friends, the people on the tour, gave out little coloring paper and crayons. And this little girl had never used crayons before. And so I got her and sat her up on my lap and helped her figure out how to get the box open to get the crayons out. And she started learning how to color. And she was a little shy at first and wasn't quite sure about it, but you know, I kept encouraging her, and she wanted to try out all the different colors, and we had so much fun coloring. And then once we got our face painted, she wanted her face painted too. So I used the crayon and colored her face a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
she thought that was the best thing ever. Yeah, it was. We just had so much fun together. And for those parents to trust me, who do they know me from, to, you know, play with their daughter was so nice. And they were very proud. And the mother came up and said, "That's my daughter." And I was like, "Oh, she's so lovely." Yeah, it was, I will carry that in my heart forever.
Can I add something?
Oh, Lauren wants to add something.
Absolutely.
The tribes. When we went, all the tribes there I am there. When we met all the tribes, the thing that I got the biggest kick out of is they had a great sense of humor. They laughed with us and joked with us and teased us. We had so much fun. We laughed a lot. It was really, really cool. Yeah.
It's true. It's
that chief. Oh, he was a crazy guy.
So I didn't go into the chief's house, but I've seen pictures from everybody else in, and I've done it on past trips. But what kind of things went down in there? Like, what were some of the
he was trying to convince Carl that he needed more wives. And he was laughing and having a great time with it. And every time Lisa would say, no, he only gets one, the chief would go into another big story about why he needs more wives. And I think he offered her like 4 or 5 chickens and a cow. for, to marry one of his girls or something like that. It was really, really funny. And
Oh my God.
the chief just roared and laughed and everybody was laughing. It was really neat. They all and the girl that spoke English that we didn't know spoke English,
Yeah.
understood everything we were saying. And once we figured that out, it turned out to be a big joke. Everybody was really fun. I was amazed on their great sense of humor and how much they enjoyed joking with us too. Made it feel like you're part of them, part of the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, back to Sue. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. I'm so glad you chimed in. I have 3 things about a safari that I love. I love first days, I love last days, and I love meeting those Datoga women. Because
so wonderful.
I mean, you saw when I showed up, they know me, they recognize me, the hugs
Yeah.
genuine. I light up and I look forward to that day so much on every single safari. So sometimes when we go, like we will visit with different groups of the blacksmith tribe, right? There's blacksmiths that actually make weapons, make spearheads and arrowheads out of a 10-penny nail or some scrap metal from like a locker for, like a lock for a locker or whatever, like whatever scrap metal they can get their hands on. But they rotate through. There's different characters that are there on different visits. And the Hadza are the same way. We never know which family of Hadzabe we're going to be interacting with because they're a nomadic, group of people. And so we have to work ahead of time to find out if they're in the area and if we can interact with them. So, but the Datoga family for right now.
The farmers, yeah.
The farmers, yeah, they're farmers.
Yeah.
And it's one man with 10 wives and 50 something kids and 100 and something grandkids. And the men, the chief is kind of there and he's large and in charge, but the women honestly run the whole show. Like they run the whole show. And so to go back and see that same group of people I've seen, I've held their babies when they were first born and now I see a 5-year-old, right? Like it's so amazing.
Oh, wow.
To watch that progression. So I love the fact that you would like to go back and I encourage you to do it if you get the chance, if you've got the time away from the project or whatever.
Yeah.
And so those are my 3 things. The first day I love because I wish everybody a happy first day as they're getting on the trucks for the first time, because it's the first zebra and it's the first giraffe and everything's exciting. And I love the last day because we go around the table and people talk about how they've changed in 10 days, 12 days, right? And there's so much emotion on that last day. It's like you cannot, I don't care. Like I've been beautiful places in the world. I've seen most of the continents. I don't get that reaction at the end of a trip to Tuscany, at the end of a trip to Africa, because it's so different and wanting to find a way to return. So now I just want to shut up really and you tell that part of the story, like just, fill it all in, fill in all the blanks of how you got the idea, what prompted it, and then where you're going with it.
While I was working, I always, yearned to be able to go and volunteer in a foreign country, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't get that much time off. So, it's kind of been in the back of my mind for a very long time. And then going to Tanzania, and meeting the people and interacting with the people, and they're so giving and so caring and just such wonderful, kind, gentle people. I felt very safe around them. I felt very cared for around them. And their situation is so different than ours. And I really felt like, this is a place where maybe I can help make things a little bit better for these wonderful people who gave so much to me in my safari experience. And so I kind of, when I got home, I had it in the back of my mind and I kind of started looking into it. And I did a bunch of research, and then I kind of dropped the bomb on Susie and Felix and said, I'm thinking about going back. And they were like, well, that's a wonderful idea. So that was very supportive of Susie and I'm sorry.
You called him Felix, but you meant Simon.
I meant Simon, Susie and Simon. Yeah, I'm sorry, Simon and Felix, I get mixed up. Anyway.
You're not the only one that does that.
And, you know, they were supportive. So the other thing that happened with me was once I got back, I just couldn't stop thinking about the Tanzanian people and how wonderful. And I just felt this drive to go back. Um, it just stole my heart. It just really, Tanzania stole my heart. And so I was like, and I kept thinking, I'm not one who makes real like rash decisions. And I don't jump into things. But I do try to follow my heart, and especially since I've been retired. And so it just kept coming and coming and coming into my mind. And so I do a little more research and a little more research. And finally, I'm like, okay, I talked to my wife and said, I want to go back. And she said, okay, great. Go back and have fun. I'm not going with you, but have fun. She's very supportive. She's got things she needs to take care of here. And so I decided to pull the trigger and bought my tickets and signed up and started fundraising, which was an amazing experience because so many people donated. And that is just amazing support that I received from all those people there. I'm so thankful for them.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I signed up, got my ticket, and I got on Amazon, and I got a list from one of the nonprofits that I'm going to work with, and I'm bringing 2 check bags full of 50 pounds each of supplies, taking them, and then half of my carry-on is full. Also, I had to put the microscope in the carry-on bag, and some of my clothes fit in there, so the rest of my clothes are in my backpack.
Oh my God.
So I kept having to take things out. Well, I don't really need 3 pairs of pants. I'll just take 2 pairs of pants. I don't really need 4 shirts. I could do 3 shirts, that kind of stuff. So I've got everything packed up and pretty much ready to go. And I'm really, really excited. And the other piece of that is I contacted friends that I met in Tanzania, and they've been so very, very supportive. So I've got, somebody who I know picking me up from the airport and taking me there, and Good Luck's going to pick me up at the airport, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
You leave tomorrow morning. I was going to say, when do you leave? And so a good deal. I'm so glad that she's referring to a young man named Good Luck, and he is one of my air quote kids from Tanzania. And on their very first night, well, not their first night because they were there early, but on most of my guests' first night, a couple of my kids showed up at the lodge we were staying at and joined us to like hand out gifts and kick things off and have some pizza with us. And he was one of those young men. And I know that you guys bonded, and I've seen the exchanges go back and forth. So I'm really happy for you. And he's an amazing human being. So he will take great care of you. Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the specific charities that you chose, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. What are they? Outreaches? I don't know what the technical term for them is.
Well, I think they're NGOs.
The non-government organizations. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. I just use nonprofit because most people don't know what NGO means.
Right.
Or a lot of people don't. And so one of them is called Beyond Child Smile, and their focus is education and also refurbishing the schools. So to me, what it looks like is the schools in Tanzania, they get built, but they don't really get a lot of maintenance.
Right.
And education is free for all Tanzanian children, but the government doesn't really fund it anywhere close to the level of our schools, maybe 10% of what our schools get. Yeah. So the schools don't get maintenance. And so the plaster's falling off the walls, the roofs leak, the ceilings are falling down because the roof's been leaking on them. The school that we're going to go to, they have a working toilet block, a toilet building, but there's no water to it anymore. And so they have to carry buckets of water to be able to flush the toilets. And so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to dig a line, and we're going to put in a water line to this building so that they can keep it cleaner. And also they're going to retile it so it's more sanitary, because right now it's all cement, and the cement doesn't get as clean for those types of waste materials. Then it would be better and more hygienic for the children and for anybody using them. So for me, it's, I love to build things. I love to fix things. I love to paint, plaster, nail, saw. I can do all those things. And I always felt like, I'd really love to go to a country and use all those skills and be helpful and help make, life better for people in all the world. So here when I go to Tanzania, that's going to be a really exciting experience. Golden Aya, what their focus is, I want to say upscaling the kids' education. So they do a very intensive after school program that's STEM based. And STEM is basically teaching kids like how to put things together, how moving parts work, how to use your creativity to solve problems. So I'm taking things like Lego blocks, so that they can have projects to build things and to learn how things go together. I loved Legos as a kid, and it's such a great learning tool. I'm taking some kits that have little motors, and you make a little car so that they figure out how movement happens and how you attach those things to create movement. I'm also taking popsicle sticks and glue guns so that they can build things with those. So there's all sorts of different types of things that I'm taking that they can't get in Tanzania to do these types of projects. Right. And so Golden Aya, they have after school every day for these kids, and the kids just love it because it's expanding their opportunities, their mind, and their creativity. It's really going to be such helpful for them. And then in the mornings, I'm going to help in the school, because like elementary school, those kids the teachers have 50 kids in a classroom. Yeah. And they don't have enough textbooks for all the kids. So, 5 kids might be using one textbook. So
the need is there. Like you're just scratching the surface of what we can continue to contribute, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by that one. I've got to tell you, I'm blown away by that one. I just think that, how do you become the first world? You have engineers and scientists and people
technology
that can make a difference, right? And when you have no ability to learn that, then your country is not going to come along. But by people like you going there and bringing STEM kits or, little electricity, kits or whatever, like that's going to stimulate those young minds. And then that their future is going to be brighter. Like that just
absolutely
wonderful. One of the things I want to send down, if you go back or if I go on my next trip and we can help support these folks, is I know somebody who they literally are a STEM kit. It almost looks like a board game, but it's, I think, 118 different electrical projects that you can do inside the kit, which they would love. Yeah.
Great.
So I'll
yeah.
get those donated and I'll take them down. You tell you tell me where to take them and I'll get them and take them down there.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yay. Synergy.
Yay. Connections.
Yeah, connections, literally, right?
Yeah.
No, well, thank you for saying that you hadn't yet told me about that part of it, because I had forgotten all about that. I thought it was just the one thing, and now I remember STEM too. How exciting. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and anybody who's watching this has to just open, I don't know, their heart chakra to you and just say thank you, because that's a huge it's a gift that you're giving,
an opportunity
and a gift that you're giving to so many people, so much less fortunate than us. And really all they need is opportunity, right? So each time I'm blessed with the opportunity to give some help to somebody, I never give it with any strings attached, and I never give it with any expectations or requirements, other than if it helps them and changes their world, I'd ask them to help somebody else, like pay it forward. And so each of these kids that you're going to benefit their life, give them a clean and comfortable environment to learn in, or, the facilities, just basic stuff like clean facilities, is such a gift to them. And then who knows where those little minds will go and all the people that they'll end up helping too. So I just bless you. And I really am interested in following along as you go off on this journey. And so I hope that you will continue to post things or video things or interview people or whatever, and to check it out on a larger scale, so that Wanderful Tanzania might be able to adopt this association or these NGOs as somebody that we can continue to make an impactful contribution to on future safaris too. So all of those things, I send you off on this mission. Thank you for going.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was part 1 with Susie and Sue. Make sure you come back later this month for part 2.